We've all heard about Build-A-Boat and also Bloxburg. They may be different games, but they have the same essence. Both involves something that requires creativity and the time and effort and all of that. But the main difference is about Bloxburg and Build-A-Boat is that Bloxburg has a massive paywall, while Build-A-Boat is 100% free. So we're gonna be playing the true Bloxburg.
Stop the cap.
I know what you Bloxburg people are gonna say. Let me showcase it first. On this side would be the counter or the bar side of the room. I don't know what to call it. So right off the bat, we can notice that this side over here, it doesn't shout something that is special. There's nothing really special on the walls. There's nothing really special on the counters, the cabinets, also the ceiling actually. So if you look above, next to this bland ceiling, we also see this empty void created by the beams. Like, it just seems like the beams do not make sense, but let's just assume that this is Yimi's preference, then we have to go with it. Overall, in terms of competing against Bloxburg, I think this could be improved. By the way, this is Yimi's save slot used in his project city, so he really had to cut cost and parts here to not make his city laggy, although it already is, but for future purposes, we're gonna make it a bit more presentable. So in fixing this big of a mess, how do we start? So first we find inspirations, and here they are. So we created these samples or 5 versions that we could actually alternate in between this very long ceiling above the bar. It seems to be intimidating, but it's actually pretty easy once you actually made the samples. It took us like 20 minutes max. It doesn't really matter how long you build something here, as long as it's presentable and also that looks great, right? Another great thing here is that we've added a much bigger display unit and a pocket where a TV is put at the center. So if it's a fancy restaurant, it should deserve a fancier display. So what we did here is we kept the wall, but we stretched the display to the right to act as a divider from the kitchen door and other utility uses, so the guest can see bartender's huge cake when rinsing the glasses. So while Yimi is building the wooden patterns for the counter, I then place bottles back in place around the television. And here is the new bar. Now keep in mind there's more people that are gonna come in and help enhance every revisions even further, which you guys will notice as we go along the video. Now, what's to enhance further are those minor revisions that exist within the room. For example, removing the tree for the new layout and plan that will be shown in the latter parts of the video, color of the furniture, ceiling, and lighting.
Get up and move your ass.
So we have these hamburger lights, which is an interesting effect Yimi has gone for. However, at normal view, you'd see the lights as just one object instead of having multiple layers. So instead of wasting those efforts, I recolored them in a gradient sequence to emphasize that effect. I also added these hamburger lights and made one of them at the center of the room, much bigger, so we'd have that hierarchy effect Yimi was going for. And with just adding random hanging things, it creates that aesthetic, cozy look. You Bloxburgers love to use those words, right? Speaking of hanging things, I suggested we put a trellis where plants can hang off to for the empty portions the beams made. But we're skipping most of these because we're gonna scrap this anyway. There has been a lot of projects Yimi had lately, and this hotel is one of them. Why are we here? We are here to extract some assets. After placing in the tables and chairs for the empty spaces we set up, we then imported the assets one by one. Of course, not every asset fits in with the goal, so we have to obviously had to refine and remodel some of them, like the plants. I made them more detailed, and we slowly added even more table decorations, like the glasses, the candles, and the food, and whatever.
Oh.
So we now have Tame joining in, optimizing the bar earlier, and now enhancing the curtains, and done and helped so much things afterwards. With the old curtains, the issue was that it's a plain old flat fabric, and to solve this problem, Tame just added a bunch of more old flat fabric and made this fluted effect. So sometimes it just, again, doesn't have to take so much parts or time. It just has to sell that effect we needed which this one does more than enough. And it's a good thing we saved parts, because what we're about to do just make this little room prone to crashing when using the select tool. We weren't done with this trellis because we weren't satisfied with the one we made earlier. We're gonna torment ourselves to give the attention this piece of grass deserves. So, I think Tame sent that inspiration. I think it's a good reference pic to based off of, but yeah, I don't think I'd have the time. We have to scrap the entirety of the old trellis, but I think this is worth sacrificing for. I did extracted some assets, mixed them up, and pray for the best. It would look like the picture. And yeah, I think this can work. I just have to create a few samples to diversify our design. And then we continue to add more decorations, more people. And comparing the two now, the old and the new, yeah, it was a huge step. We just took those minor revisions. A game that isn't about houses or other livable spaces. It's a good competitor. As a player who played both of these games before, of course, we already know Bloxburg went free, but its game passes and other features are very much locked behind the paywall. I'm not saying that Build-A-Boat is better than Bloxburg, of course. Bloxburg surely has way better capabilities that is specifically intended for its use. Bloxburg also has features that I think I've seen the community making: vehicles and other building genres. Build-A-Boat, however, it's a much more versatile option. If you need vehicles, you can make one. If you need characters, people moving around, you can make yourself. A lot more save slots for in-game currency. And you can even build infinitely, given with specific mechanisms. And of course, in both games, we inevitably need to grind and sacrifice our time. But it doesn't remove the fact that we just did this, everything that Bloxburg can, for free. Welcome to Lumiere Dining.
Oh, fancy seeing you here.